Good morning.
Hello, morning. Today is a very meaningful day. Most country students meet today at the very first meeting. So before having our class, our principal want to say something, celebrate our meeting. Let me introduce our principal to you.
제가 한국말을 하고 슬프지만은 영어를 하겠습니다.
Okay, she's going to first speak Korean, and then she's going to speak in English.
저는 사천중학교 여자 김현주입니다. 오늘 이곳 사천의 날씨는 매우 화창하고 학생들이 활동하기 좋은 날씨인 것 같습니다. 라스피너스 국립고등학교와 온라인으로 교류하게 되어 무척 감회가 깊습니다. 필리핀과의 교류를 위해 우리 학교 오광래 선생님께서 많은 노력을 하고 계십니다. 우리 학생들이 라스피너스 국립고등학교와의 교류를 통해 서로 다른 교육 방식과 문화를 이해하고 소통하여 우리 모두가 함께 행복해질 수 있는 계기가 되었으면 좋겠습니다. 감사합니다. National High School students and teachers. I'm Yul Tong, the principal of Sacheon Middle School. The weather is pretty sunny and lovely day. For student activities, I'm so honored to communication online with the Pinas National High School. 오강래, the teacher of Sacheon Middle School, is trying very hard to communicate with the Philippines. I hope Sacheon Middle School and Pinas National High School will understand the educational system and culture each other, and every will be happy. Thank you.
Okay, Philippine students say 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
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 Good. So, okay, all Korean students, all Korean people, when they meet on the street, any place, anytime, we just say greetings, 안녕하세요. And in English, this morning time, good morning. Kumusta ka?
Kumusta ka?
Kumusta ka?
Kumusta ka?
Why do you laugh? Magandang umaga is the different one, the same meaning. Magandang umaga is the meaning of 안녕하세요, right?
네, 선생님.
Okay, what's the difference between kumusta ka and magandang umaga?
Kamusta ka in Korean is 잘 지내세요. And magandang umaga in Korean is 안녕하세요.
Okay, so this morning time, magandang umaga is the correct one, right?
네, 선생님.
magandang umaga.
Magandang umaga.
Before having our original meeting, so I just want to have a special time. So it's a kind of ceremony. We just want to get respect each country's the national anthem. Okay, and first your Philippine national anthem. We just listen and watch it, the video clip. And listen to the two national anthem. Okay, how do you feel? Philippine students, how do you feel? Listen to Korean anthem. Any volunteers will say something about your feelings when you hear Korean anthem?
Filipino students, can you please answer the question of Songsin-nim? What do you feel after hearing the national anthem of Korea? Anyone? Let's have Mikaina. Mikaina,
I feel good. I feel good.
why?
Just to feel good. Okay. You can see the right side. You can see the beautiful flower. Okay, this is our national flower, 무궁화. The Lord of Sharon, we call 무궁화. Okay. Would you please repeat after me? Okay, we call this 무궁화. Philippine students, repeat after me. 무궁화.
무궁화.
Everybody, one more time. 무궁화.
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 Lord of Sharon, we call it 무궁화. And any volunteer, the left side, I can see it. All our students see the flower left side. What do you call?
Our national flower. Okay. Anyone from grade 10 modesty who would like to share with our Korean counterpart our national flower? I think our national flower is sampaguita, right? So what is the significance of that flower? Anyone from the Philippines? Let's have Kashika.
It symbolizes for the purity and hope po.
Okay, so she's telling that our national flower is sampaguita. The picture, I think it's the picture on the left side of the PowerPoint of Songsin-nim.
Yeah.
It's about purity. That's why it's white.
Okay. So you call it sampaguita.
Sampaguita.
Okay, sampaguita is the Philippine the national flower. 다 같이 한번 해보자. sampaguita. Okay, the pronunciation is right. I'll still say sampaguita. One more time. Is it right?
네, very good. 잘했어요.
Good job. And this time, so I ask the Philippine students and Korean students too. Okay, you just using menti.com.
Can you please go back to the previous slide? I think some of my students wasn't able to capture the QR code.
Okay.
One of my students were asking about the code. Can you please? Is it possible for you to give us the code through the chat box so that my student will just click it and enter to the Mentimeter?
Yes, you can use. So you just type, or the code number is 2721 4042. I just want to know about how many things you know about Korea. Most of the Philippine students know about kimchi, hanbok, K-drama, taekwondo, and Busan. Okay, Samsung. Okay, you already know lots about our Korean things. Next one. Okay, if you come to Korea, please write down at least 5 things you want to do the most. Enjoy Korean food. Good. Okay. Make friends with Koreans. Go to K-pop concerts. Okay. Enjoy Korean food. Explore the culture. Become idol. Okay. And the biggest one is enjoy Korean food. Yes, Korean food is very delicious. Visit historical places. Okay. In Korean food, enjoy Korean food. Go to Jeju Island. Okay. Jeju Island is so beautiful. Thank you for joining. This time, Q's and A's about Korea. Okay, where is the Philippines and Korea? Okay, I just asked Korean student first.
Philippines
Is located.
is located between Taiwan and Indonesia.
Is it right? Okay, this place is Philippines, so it's very easy for Korean students. Okay, there are lots of the Korean words here, so the word Philippine, your country. And Philippine student, where is Korea? Any volunteer?
Any volunteer, please raise your hands to grade 10 students.
Between Japan and China.
Okay, between Japan and China. 박수. So you can see the Korean word Hangul. Hangul is Korea. Okay, Korea is located between China and Japan. How far is from Hangul, Korea to Philippines? Any volunteer Philippine student? Have you ever been to Korea, the Philippine students? Anyone visit Korea?
Kashika, how many kilometers is Korea from the Philippines, Kashika?
2,822 kilometers.
Yeah, something.
Just
That's
only
it.
kilometers. Okay. If you go to Korea by airplane, how long will it take? Do you know?
I think something new. My students haven't gone to Korea. To Korea. That's why they don't have any idea. But I think it's around 3 hours and 30 minutes by plane.
Okay. Just only three and half hour or 4 hours. Okay. Not far from both countries we can meet after coronavirus. And which number is the traditional Korean clothing?
I think Zoe is would like to answer Song's name. Zoe o Leo?
Letter A, hanbok po.
Hanbok, right? Hanbok is Korean. Kimono, what is kimono? Please answer me.
Kimono is for the Japanese.
Okay, it's Japanese national clothing. Chipao is from?
Yes, Neil. Neil, please answer the question, Neil.
Okay.
Chipao is Chinese traditional clothing po.
Okay, perfect. Okay, what about the D? Barot saya. Is it right? Any volunteer to explain about Barot saya?
Yeah, I think Aryam. Aryam, could you please explain our letter D, Barot Saya, Aryam?
Barot saya is the traditional Filipino clothing in the Philippines.
Okay, could you explain more? Just only the Barot saya is your Philippine traditional clothing. It says more about your traditional clothing.
Yes, Alex. Alex, could you please explain to the Koreans the Barot Saya of the Philippines?
Hello, Mr. O. Barot Saya represents the Filipinos national dress, and it signifies, it represents actually confidence from the Filipina, and it also shows grace and refinement from the Filipino woman.
Okay.
Thank
자, I explain in Korean to my student. 저 이 필리핀 옷인데 여자들한테 그때 이렇게 자신감도 나타내고 우아함을 나타내는 옷이라고 그게 바로 싸예요. What about the men? What about the men's clothes? Different name. We just only men and Korean, so we call just only hanbok, but in Philippines the different name. The men's clothes, what do you call?
We call the men's clothes barong, and usually it is made of pineapple fiber.
Yeah.
So same with the Barot Saya, it is very elegant to wear, and we usually wear it during formal occasion here in the Philippines, and when we are celebrating some national holidays like Philippine independence.
Okay, right. 자, 지금 이거 독립기념관일 때 그제 이렇게 남자들은 바로 먹을 수 있는데 여자도 마찬가지거든요. Okay, thank you very much. And next question. Okay, what is traditional Korean food? You already know about Koreans. We cannot live without this one. What is that?
The traditional Korean food is letter B, kimchi.
Okay, kimchi. Okay. So could you explain? Any volunteer explain about the lechon?
Who would like to explain our food, lechon? Let's have Mikaina. Mikaina, could you please explain to them the Filipino food, lechon? Mikaina, please open your microphone. Okay, go.
Lechon, or it's a roast pig. Lechon is derived from the Spanish word leche, which translates to milk. And this origin is very famous, especially in the Philippines. And there many people really love this food. So try it also.
Yeah. When I was in Philippines, I really enjoyed this food lechon. especially in birthday party or some special ceremonies, I was invited to the Philippine family members, so I just enjoyed this matcha. In Korea, this kind of matcha, especially in special holidays, we can enjoy this kind of food, but different taste. Thank you very much. And in Korea, most people we just survey lots of foreigners' favorite Korean food. So I just asked you. Okay. Okay, number 5. Foreigners' favorite Korean food, number 5. Try to guess. What is that?
Anyone to the from the Philippines, let's have Batas, can you please guess, make a wild guess about the favorite foreigners' Korean food of Korea?
Yes. Try to guess and say.
I think kimchi or bulgogi.
Oh, kimchi and bulgogi. You know some Korean kimchi and bulgogi. That's okay, I show you. Number 5 is, what is that? What do you call?
My student answered kimbap.
Okay.
They are typing their answer.
Yes. Okay. We call kimbap. Okay, number 5. So you can enjoy when you come to Korea, maybe in Philippines too. So I could enjoy the kimbap in Manila. There are some Korean restaurants, right? What do you call this one? Okay, open your mic and say the answer. We call this. Okay, we call this okay. Okay. It's very spicy. It's very spicy. Mr. Irish, did you enjoy tteokbokki in Korea?
Yeah, it's very spicy. 성수님 매운 음식.
Very spicy.
매워요, 너무 매워요.
Spicy and very tasty. Okay. We call tteokbokki. Okay. And what is that? This food is very famous. Nowadays, the food is the world famous food. Very nutritious. Lots of Asians just know about the answer. We call it bibimbap. Okay. Number 2. What is this? Most of you already know. Kimchi. Korean people cannot live without kimchi. Always, every meal we enjoy kimchi. Last one. What's the number 1? So Philippine people and Korean people really like to eat kimchi, especially the Korean youngsters and high school students, junior high school students really like to eat chicken. And I can remember the mang inasal in your country. It tastes really good. Okay. You can visit Korea. When you visit Korea, you can enjoy this kind of food on the street or at the restaurant. Okay. Every place you can enjoy this kind of food. Okay. So you are always welcome when you come to Korea after coronavirus. You can enjoy this one. Okay.
The Korean people had 4 types of learning. Though you don't know about Korean history, Korea was one of the poorest countries after the Japanese colonial rule and the Korean War. People could help our country, Japan, during the and could help our country during the Korean War. Let's watch the video clip and see how our country, Korea, has become one of the developed countries today from the recent war.
Okay.
There's a lot of feedback. We cannot hear you clearly. What we can hear are your students speaking on their table, on their chair. And it's echoing something. There's a feedback a while ago.
I just want you to watch the video, the battle of Yul Tong and the miracle of the Han River. The first one is the battle of Yul Tong. I just want to watch this video.
In honor of those who sacrificed their lives for freedom, Masid proudly presents The Battle of Yul Tong, a story of how Filipino troops braved a sea of Chinese soldiers during the Korean War. The Korean War began on June 25, 1950, when North Korea, backed by China and the Soviet Union, crossed the border into South Korea in an attempt to capture its capital, Seoul. In response, the United Nations Security Council, through the formation of the United Nations Command, ordered the deployment of military forces to stop the invasion. On August 7, 1950, President Elpidio Quirino, with approval from Congress, sent 7,420 Filipino combat troops to fight in South Korea. President Quirino saw this as a commitment to help a friend and as part of a larger battle to save the world from communism. The 10th Battalion Combat Team, the Philippine Expeditionary Forces to Korea, was the first battalion to arrive on Busan shores on September 19, 1950. The 10th Battalion, made up of 1,303 enlisted men and 64 officers, was originally a motorized battalion sent to operate tanks from the US, but when none arrived, was turned into a heavy weaponry unit instead. On the night of April 22, the 10th Battalion, as part of the US 65th Infantry Regiment of the US 3rd Infantry Division, was attacked north of Yeoncheon by a large force of Chinese and North Korean soldiers. This would be known in history as the Great Spring Offensive, one of the largest offensives by the 44th Division of the Chinese People's Volunteer Army and the Communist North Korean Army during the Korean War. In front of the Filipinos were 4 Chinese divisions numbering about 40,000 men. Just after midnight, the Chinese began their attack with a heavy artillery barrage. Soon after, the Chinese forces advanced, but had difficulty as the 10th Battalion successfully defended their positions with mortar and artillery. However, a massive Chinese assault pushed the Turkish brigade from their position, allowing the Chinese to surround the Filipinos' eastern side. Seeing the incoming danger, Lieutenant Colonel Junicio Ojeda immediately organized a unit of battalion cooks and clerks to fortify and defend the east flank. With the help of M24 light tanks and artillery support, Lieutenant Colonel Ojeda's makeshift unit was able to hold off the advancing Chinese forces. The situation only got worse when the Puerto Rican 65th Infantry Regiment, situated on the west flank, began to fall back from Chinese attack. With the west flank now exposed, the Chinese began advancing but were blocked by a platoon of Filipino soldiers situated on a hill overlooking Yul Tong. Commanded by Lieutenant Jose Arciaga, this platoon refused to yield and held their ground. This gave Lieutenant Arciaga's company commander, Captain Conrado Yap, enough time to mount a counterattack. The counterattack successfully extracted the trapped platoon from the hill and also stopped the Chinese from further advancing. But sadly, Lieutenant Arciaga and Captain Yap were killed during the fight. In the early morning of April 23, Lieutenant Colonel Ojeda led the second counterattack using M24 tanks. This caught the Chinese off guard and pushed them away from the hill they were trying to seize. The Filipinos fought until midday before it was ordered to withdraw and link up with the rest of the division in the south. 15 Filipino soldiers died, 26 were wounded, and 14 were missing in action, while the Chinese and North Koreans lost around 500 soldiers. The 10th Battalion's effort at Yul Tong allowed the US 3rd Infantry Division to successfully withdraw from the battlefield, which would later on prove to turn the war in favor of the Allies. 2 weeks later, the Communists began ceasefire negotiations after suffering more heavy losses. For the next 2 years, the Korean War was mostly battled from hilltops until a ceasefire was finally declared. Out of the 7,420 Filipino soldiers sent, 113 were killed, 313 wounded, 15 missing, and 41 held as prisoners of war. Today, a monument stands inside the War Memorial of Korea in honor of the many Filipino soldiers who fought for the liberation of Korea. Recently, during the 69th anniversary of the Korean War, the late Captain Conrado Yap was awarded the Taeguk Medal, the highest military decoration given to a soldier for bravery in combat. Also awarded the Taeguk Medal was fellow 10th Battalion team member Major Maximo Young for his heroism at the Battle of Myeongdong. The efforts of the 10th Battalion in the Battle of Yul Tong was instrumental in turning the tide of the war in favor of the Allied forces. South Korea remains a free democracy, thanks to the contribution of soldiers like the Fighting Filipinos, a name given by the US Command to the brave men of the 10th Battalion Combat Team.
So, do you know the Battle of Yul Tong, Philippine students? I really thank the Philippine brave soldiers. So, I just want to ask you, Philippine students, do you know the Battle of Yul Tong?
Anyone from the Philippines that's Mikaina, could you please share to us your insights about Yul Tong, Battle of Yul Tong?
So the Battle of Yul Tong is also known as the Battle of Meiluodong, and it's a battle of the Korean War. It was fought between elements of the Chinese peoples and volunteer army from the 34th Division.
How about you, Kashika? Kashika, could you please tell them more about the Battle of Yul Tong?
The Battle of Yul Tong, June 25, 1950, is the year when the Korean War began, and August 7, 1950, President Elpidio Quirino sent 7,420 Filipino combat troops, also known as PEF-TOCPO, in South Korea.
Yes, you know about the Korean history. Thank you very much. Okay. Our students and even me, I didn't know about the Battle of Yul Tong before having this class. If we didn't have the brave soldiers, UN soldiers and Philippine soldiers, they didn't have our country. The Korean War broke out. So nowadays Korea is not survived, not exist. So I really thank you and all your brave soldiers. And this time, so you're going to watch the miracle of the Han River, how Korea become one of the developed country nowadays from the bad ruins of war. Okay.
Miracle, a strange thing that cannot be thought of in common sense. We use this expression when something that we thought was impossible happened. There was a miracle in Korea, both in Korea and in the world. This miracle is called the miracle on the Han River. Originally, the economic development of West Germany over the decades following World War II was called the miracle of the line, and the word miracle on the Han River came from that. However, Korea was a more unfavorable condition than this. Immediately after the liberation, the Korean War broke out, and Korea was truly devastated. Many countries saw Korea was hopeless. At this time, Korea was a poor country that could not survive without aid. Korea's GDP, that is, the national income, $45, each about 65,000 won. North Korea, there was resource and growth was rapid. Korea was close to 0% of economic growth with little resource and capital. Korea was just a poorest country poorer than the African countries. How did such a Korea come this far? I will summarize them into first, land reform. In 1946, most of the land owned by Japanese and Korea was distributed to the people. In 1950, the Single government redistributed over 30,000 square meters of land. This means that things produced on land will not be dedicated to the states or landowners. In a word, people now have their own land, and the products produced in my land are mine. What, isn't that obvious? We can think like this now. However, aristocrats and the country during the Joseon dynasty, Japanese colonial era is taken away by Japan. After liberation, be surviving because of the war. As land reform begins and land is created and property is created. The world has changed. The world has improved. They can think like this. As a result, according to the nature of capitalism, people work hard and the agricultural production improves. As people own higher incomes, they can afford to educate their children. Their children and the remaining rural labor force went to the city and Korean manufacturing began. At this time, Korea has no reserves, but they thought it was power to have a lot of human assets. Director in Korea first, land reform. Second, American aid. If we talk about the purpose and intention of the United States of America's aid to Korea, it will be long and there will be a lot of speculation and facts. But the fact is that Korea's economic structure at the time was dependent on other countries' aid. And Korea, a figure of $67 in GDP, tried to solve the problems of industrial oriented growth, hyperinflation, and currency growth through USA. Korea has now changed from a recipient country to the donor country. Also, the US influence on Asia has grown as Korea grows. However, Korea receives and rejects a rather aid step by step. Miracle in Korea, second, American aid. Third, explore the start of manufacturing. Korea's manufacturing industry with its wings on land reform and USA grow industrially. From 1954 to 1959, it grew on average annual rate of 4.4%, with the manufacturing industry growing at 12.5%. Looking at agriculture at 1.7% and service industry at 2.1%. It shows that growth at that time was centered on industrialization, but not everything was smooth. A growth rate in the 1960s slowed as there was also a program change price as aid rates increased compared to free aid. In 1969, trade aid was more than twice as much as free aid. Remittance by miners and nurses who left for Germany. Remittance of soldiers dispatching to the Vietnam War. The textile industry, the shoe industry, the wig industry. Oh, the wigs was real hair at the time. There were casings where hair was cut and sold. Anyway, it grew with a straight of increasing its experts focus on labor intensive light industries. And in the 1917s, 80% of Korea's miracle happened at this time. Unlike the 1916s, light industry exports slowed down and heavy and chemical industries such as steel, shipbuilding, and automobiles developed. The research was a huge success. The time of light industry overtaking heavy industry took more than 50 years for great powers, but Korea narrowed to less than 10 years. This made Korea was the 19th largest trading country in the world. In 1977, GDP exceeded $1,000. Exports reached $100 billion. That's a 100-fold increase in export from 1964. Miracle in Korea served export and startup manufacturing. First, Korean people. The Korean people are really hot people when they heat up. Although the reality at the time was beyond control, the miners and nurses who worked in other countries and supporting the country. In addition, I think there are people who are strong in crises, such as the gold collecting campaign that they volunteered to save the country during the 1997 IMF crisis. Miracle in Korea forced Korean people. Miracle on the Han River. What somebody's grandfather, grandmothers, fathers, mothers have achieved with love and sweat.
When you watch it, Korean, the Miracle on the Han River, I volunteer to tell about your thought, how Korea changed it. One of the poorest countries into the developed country now. So, any volunteers to talk?
Their thoughts, Song Sing Nim. You would like to know their thoughts about it.
Okay, so Philippine student thought.
Oh, okay, Song Sing Nim. So, Filipino student, what are your takeaways after hearing the sharing of your Korean friends a while ago? What are the lessons that you've learned about the miracle of Han River? Anyone from the Philippines who would like to answer?
I think that the miracle of Han River was truly amazing, as after the Korean War, Korea was one of the most poorest country at the time, poorer than some African countries. And I think that their comeback from being one of the most poorest countries to being one of the most developed countries is definitely one of the best miracles of the world, in my opinion.
Okay, another answer. Who would like to answer from the Philippines? Do you have any other thought? Anyone? From the girls, let's have, I think let's have La Madrid. La Madrid, will you please share to us your thoughts about it?
La Madrid?
Yeah, Shahana.
As what Ariam said po, it was really amazing po with what our Korean students have shared about the Han River miracle po. Miracle of Han is about the economic development in Korea, and as it was mentioned, Korea at the time was really poor, and we all know that African countries is a really there are a lot of poor people, and at that time Korea was also is one of the most poorest, or they are more poorer than the African people.
Yeah, my God. Okay, thank you very much. So the most important thing is now developing or developed countries, we just help each other. Okay, our country was in old days very poor, and you help Korea, especially the Korean War. And after that, our country become one of the developed countries. We just help each other, right? Don't you think so?
Yeah, we agree, something.
Okay. And the map of Korea. Now, our country is not one country. The third part is South Korea, the northern part is North Korea. Our country is divided two countries now. Look at the right side. Seoul and another star. Okay, this place is Sacheon. Our school is here, the southern part of Korea. Our school is not near Seoul. Our school is near Jeonju and Busan here. This place is so beautiful. Did you watch my video clip?
Yeah, I will share it to them, Song Sing Nim.
Okay, later.
Okay.
Just I want your students to watch at our school and the area of Sacheon. Okay, and this is the map of Korea. Okay, leveling activities. So I just asked your students to find out where is the place, the province. So it's a little bit difficult. I just show let's together. Korean students already know. Okay, Seoul, where is Seoul? Okay, Seoul is the capital of Korea. And this one is Seoul. And Incheon, near Seoul. And Gyeonggi-do. Okay, Seoul and Incheon belong to Gyeonggi-do. Gyeonggi-do is very big. And There, the most populated place in Korea. Okay, and this is Hangul. There are lots of mountains here, but there are so many beautiful scenic places here. And Chungcheongbuk-do in the middle of Korea. Okay, next to Chungcheongbuk-do. And Gyeongsang-buk-do. 2 days ago, the typhoon passed the Gyeongsang-buk-do, and the places there are lots of damage here. So I'm really sorry for hear the news. And Gyeongsang-namdo. Okay, this is our place. Okay, our school is the southern part of Gyeongsang-namdo. And Daejeon is in the middle of Korea. Okay, in the center of Korea. And Jeollabuk-do and Jeollanam-do. Okay, next to Gyeongsang-namdo. Okay, this place is so beautiful. Okay, there are so many islands, just like the Philippines. And the center is Gwangju. And Busan is next to Busan. You know already, Busan. Busan is one of the hottest cities. Every year there's the Busan Film Festival. All world people visit Busan to show off the films. And Daegu is the special city, and the last Uryongdo is the Sea of Korea and Sea of Japan. In between, we have lots of conflict with these places. One place is Dokdo Island. Dokdo is Korean. Dokdo belongs to Korea, but Japan, there's some maybe the high-ranking people just only insist Dokdo is their land, but it's bullshit. Dokdo is our territory. Okay, and the last in some Philippines region, right? This is really beautiful island. What is that? Do you know?
Jeju Island po.
Yes, good. Jeju Island is really beautiful. So most of the Korean people really want to have a school excursion that place. Okay, so I think we don't have enough time, so let's learn Korean alphabet. There are 3 activities, but I think it's time limit, just only 20 minutes left. And so I just want to give this one is your home assignment. And the second one is to solve, compare and contrast into your homework. And the last part is the main things, SDGs together. And I just only show you some Hangul YouTube. First, watch this YouTube.
Hello, and welcome to our Korean class for beginners. This is the Seoul subway map. Here are some of the most crowded stations: Myeongdong, Itaewon, Seoul, Dongdaemun, Gyeongbokgung, Hongdae, and Gangnam. Have you ever been to or heard of any of these places? Next, in these photos, we will show you some things that represent Korea. I'll explain them one at a time. This is the Taegukgi, the South Korean flag. This is the Mugunghwa, Korea's national flower. Taekwondo is Korea's national martial art. This is Hangul, the Korean writing system. Here we have kimchi, a traditional Korean food. This is Seoul, the capital of South Korea. This is a hanok, a traditional Korean home. This is the Hangang River, which crosses through Seoul. And lastly, this is hanbok, traditional Korean clothing. Have you heard of any of these? In what language were all the things you saw on the screen written in? Yes, that's right. They were written in Hangul, the Korean writing system. Who invented Hangul, and why and how did he do it? And what is the Korean language like? Let's take a look. This is Korea's scientific research station at the South Pole. Do you know what it is called? This is a special city in Korea. Do you know what the city is called? The king pictured on the Korean bill is a very famous king of Korea from the past. Do you know what his name is? The answer to all these is Sejong.
We call this Sejong-daeon, the great king Sejong. Sejong the Great.
Who was King Sejong, and why is a scientific research station named after him? What about the special city? How did his face end up on Korean money? King Sejong, widely considered the best king of the Joseon dynasty, was known for his great achievements and is widely respected to this day. He began many projects in the fields of agriculture, science, medicine, music, law, and others, and the Korean nation was founded upon all of his projects. But most of all, King Sejong is known for inventing Hangul. Have you ever heard of anyone else inventing the characters for an entire language? King Sejong created Hangul in 1443. So, how was Korean written before he invented Hangul? There were actually no Korean letters before that time, so scholars had to borrow Chinese characters to write things down. However, it was not easy for commoners to learn Chinese characters, which is why they could not read nor write. This often puts commoners in unfair situations. King Sejong was disheartened by this inequality. His love for his people made him decide to invent a Korean writing system that could be read and written by everyone. After a long period of researching, King Sejong was finally able to create Korean characters that could easily be learned. King Sejong named these characters Hunminjeongeum. Later on, starting in the 20th century, people began to refer to the system as Hangul. Thanks to the invention of Hunminjeongeum, all Korean people could easily learn how to read and write. In Korea, each year on Hangul Day, October 9th, we celebrate King Sejong's incredible creation and distribution of Hangul. The story of how Hangul was created and its logical characteristics are so scientific and so impressive that in 1997, UNESCO designated the Hunminjeongeum Haerebon, the original copy of the Hunminjeongeum, as a memory of the world.
Okay, we are very proud of Hangul because UNESCO designated the list of UNESCO memory of the world in 1997.
I previously mentioned that Hangul is very logical, scientific, and impressive. But what principles was Hangul based on? There are three principles behind Hangul. First is the principle of hieroglyphics. Second is the ideographic principle. And third is the principle of phoneme medial final consonant. The principle of hieroglyphics refers to the fact that the shape of most Hangul characters is like the shape of the mouth when the characterized is vocalized, as well as shapes such as the sky, the earth, and people. The ideographic principle refers to the idea of adding extra strokes to existing characters to make new ones. This made Hangul easy for anyone to learn. The principle of phoneme medial final consonant relates to separating a syllable into three parts using a consonant, vowel, consonant structure. In the case of Hangul, there is not a separate set of consonants for the final consonant. Instead, it uses the same set of consonants for both the phoneme and final consonant. How were the vowel characters created? They resemble the shape of the sky, people, and the earth. To be more specific, they take after the round shape of the sky, the flat shape of the earth, and the shape of a standing person. The vowels were created by combining three basic characters. The character A resembles the sun rising from the east.
Okay, we call people, the sky, or A.
While the character O represents the sun setting to the west. The character U represents the sun rising in the sky, while U resembles the sun setting beyond the horizon. Using variations of these shapes, 10 vowel characters could be created.
Okay, you have to watch it carefully. So after this one, so you have to write your own name in Korean. Our Korean students help you. And after you write your name, and then you have to learn about how to introduce about yourself in Korean.
So, how were the consonant shapes made then? The shapes of the consonants take after the shapes of body parts, such as the throat, tongue, gums, teeth, and such, when we vocalize these sounds. This way, people can look at each character and be reminded of how to read it out loud. Using this logic, the characters kiok, niun, mium, siot, and iung were created. Kiok resembles the base of the tongue, blocking the throat. Nian resembles the tongue being placed against the upper teeth. Mium resembles the shape of the mouth. And Shiut resembles the shape of our teeth. Lastly, Iung looks like the throat when it vocalizes this sound. The basic consonants were created under this principle of hieroglyphics. On top of this, additional strokes were added to make characters that require more aspiration when pronounced.
Okay, the very basic is 기역, 니은, 미음, 시옷, 이음. Just only five, okay, consonant, and just only add one stroke and eight.
For example, you can add a stroke to kiok to make kiuk, or to tigut to make tiut. Some consonants are doubled to make other consonants. This tells us to accentuate the consonant, making a stronger sound. For example, we can write kiok twice to make sanggiok, or write tigut twice to make sangdigut. Modern Korean makes use of 22 consonant characters. They are 기역, 니은, 디귿, 리을, 미음, 비읍, 시옷, 이응, 지읒, 치읒, 키읔, 티읒, 피읍, 히읗, 쌍기역, 쌍디귿, 쌍비읍, 쌍시옷, 쌍지읒. There are three ways to make syllables using Hangul. First, you can make a syllable with just a vowel. In this case, since there is no consonant, we should put an iung in its place. Second, you can combine a phoneme and vowel. If you put kiok and a together, it makes ka. Third, you can combine a phoneme, vowel, and final consonant. Hyut, a, and nian can be combined to make han. It's important to remember that you do not write them out individually, like hyut, a, nian. Instead, you have to put them together. When the vowel character has a vertical line, like a, it is placed on the right side of the phoneme. The final consonant is placed under the phoneme and vowel. Meanwhile, if the vowel has a horizontal line, like it is placed under the phoneme instead. In this case, the final consonant would still be placed under the phoneme and vowel.
Okay, this is very difficult, right? The other part, choose something. So okay, next class, this time I just want your students and Korean students have to meet together.
Okay, Filipino students, I will assign your breakout session. So from Aguilar, Kahipe, Chris, and Andre, Hiro, please go to group number 1. Please enter to the breakout session number 1. And then Millard, Tristan, Aryam, Rosete, and San Jose, please go to the group 2. And then Urbano, Aquino, Balino, Batas, and Mikaina, go to the group 3. And then Fernandez, Gadayan, Hamito, La Madrid, and Manimtim, go to the group 4. And then the rest go to the group 5. Understood?
Yes.
Okay, go. Join now.
Okay, this time, the Philippine students, would you please ask your Korean friend how to write your name in Korean? Our Korean students teach you how to write your name in Korean. 자, 서로 만나 생각하고. Can we extend to 5 minutes?
Sure, Mr. O.
Hello? Okay, the time is just only 2 minutes left. So I just want to prolong more than 5 minutes. Is it okay now?
Yes, it's okay.
Do you wanna?
Was our Korean good? Able to understand it?
May I be the next to introduce myself?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
you can go ahead.
안녕하세요, 여러분. 저는 필리핀에서 살고 있는 밀리ard입니다. 만나서 반가워요. 저는 Las Piñas National High School에 다니고 있어요. 나의 kukumun chakokga dwego si pollo. Chonun yorobuni chon chinguga dwego si pollo. Annyeong.
Wow, you can Korean so well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tristan, you wanna try Korean self-introduction?
안녕하세요, 여러분. 저는 필리핀에서 살고 있는 크리스탄입니다. 만나서 반가워요.
Wow.
저는 라스베이거스 사셀 하이스쿨에 다니고 있어요. 나의 꿈은 되고 싶어요. 저는 여러분이 좋은 친구가 되고 싶어요. 안녕.
Wow, you can speak Korean. Thank you. You study. You practice a lot, right?
Hello, I live in Korea and I go to Sacheon Middle School. I want to do.
Korean student, would you like to say anything to my students, to your Nuna? 없어요, 있어요. 없어. 질문이 있어요? No more. You don't like to ask anything? Okay, now do you want to ask any question to my students so that you could know them more?
I think they are very shy, so they hesitate to ask some questions, especially Korean students are very shy.
Okay, how about you Filipino students? Would you like to ask anything to your Korean friends? Ken, would you like to ask anything from your younger brother? How about Mikaina? Ask anything, come on.
Don't be shy, please ask some questions to Korean students.
Yeah, come on, Mikaina. She's gone. How about you, Balino? Come on, just ask one question. Or else I'll be the one asking you question. You don't like that, right? Ask them question. Anything.
What kind of hobbies do you do?
Hobby. Anyone from Korea? What is your hobby?
Play soccer.
Chuimi, soccer. He love to play soccer. How about you, So Yonje? What's your
play game?
What game do you play?
Play computer game.
Computer game. Mikaina also love playing computer game. What computer game do you like to play, Mikaina? What computer game do you play?
Maple Story.
Mobile games po, like Mobile Legends here in the Philippines.
She loves playing Mobile Legend. Are you familiar with that, Yonje? Mobile Legend, ML. Yes. Yeah. I think sometimes you can play with Mikaina online, right, Mikaina?
Sure po. Yes.
Yeah. How about you, Kangminu? What's your Twinnie?
So I cannot finish the last part of Chuseok, and there are some more important things. After Chuseok, we just want to show and tell you about the Korean Chuseok and the game. Okay, and this is just only few seconds. I just want to take a picture together.
The students, open your cam. We will have a picture taking. Come on.
Okay, okay.
Heart.
Okay. Thank you very much for the cooperation. So let's meet next time. We just want to talk more. Okay, I push in my students and you to talk as much as possible. Okay.
Okay. Something.
Okay. Thank you for watching. Bye.
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 Bye.